I have sold something to every single Fortune 500 company, often more than once. I did a live recently where people loved my insights into sales, so I'm going to share my 18 basic rules for selling. If you want to be a good salesperson, or you're an organization that wants to up your game in sales, which I think is a way of outmaneuvering coronavirus right now, get new clients, get new business, grow your business through this difficult time, I'm going to share with you my experience. In my 30-year career, I have sold something to every single Fortune 500 company, often more than once. So I know a thing or two about sales. I've got some of the biggest brands in the world to not only endorse and support my business, but work with me doing global, interesting, exciting things. So here are my 18 basic rules for sales. First up, it's very important to build a relationship and give value. I'm going to throw some clips in here and I'm going to try and make this video a little bit interesting instead of me just talking to the camera. So I'm going to share some of my favorite movie clips involving sales and I hope you find it entertaining. Equally, you don't need to make notes. At the end of this video, I will make a list for you and I will also put it in the link at the bottom so you'll be able to get these 18 rules. So number one rule, build a relationship and give value to clients. Don't just take, think about what you can give. The second rule, care about what you're selling. Ensure a strong moral code and ethical code within the product or the service it's offering. This ensures that you're not just selling for sales' sake. I really think sales has got such a bad rap these days, and there's absolutely no reason for it other than there's a lot of people out there just not doing it ethically. This is my rule number 3. Look to give, don't just take. It's a very important rule and a lot of people neglect to install this element. What they do is they sell what they've got and they want to take. But if you give, I always say, give 5 times and you get 1 thing back. The more you can give, the more you get. I love free. People think free has no value and they're absolutely wrong. Free definitely has value. Number 4. Sell from your heart and not your brain. So many people think of sales as a strategy, as a structure, as a way of tricking people or a way of convincing people to buy. And if you forget the brain piece, the logic piece, and you sell from your heart, the results will blow your mind. I have always sold from my heart, and the difference, both as a salesperson, I get a lot of pleasure from selling from my heart, and equally, quite often, the people that buy from you follow the same process of buying with their heart, so you can get people to buy into what you're doing from their heart. And even if you're more expensive, if it doesn't make sense for them to spend money, like right now with coronavirus, a lot of people won't spend money, but if you're selling from the heart, they'll buy from the heart, and then your business can grow no matter what's happening in the background. Rule 5, folks. And I'm going to take my sunglasses off because this is an important one. Believe in what you're selling. If you don't believe in what you're selling, don't do it. This, in my view, is the due diligence required of any salesperson. You've got to dig deep and know truly, is this product something that you can get behind? Remember, whatever you sell ultimately will represent your name, your image, maybe for the rest of your life. So you've got to be sure you believe in it. And if you believe in it, trust me, selling it becomes a lot easier. The follow-up process, which is one of the training methods you're taught in sales, always follow up, becomes a lot less painful. I know myself, if I'm following up with a client and I've got something that they need, then I won't stop following up until they're aware of it, until they understand it, and hopefully until they buy it from me. But ultimately, a lot of people that don't have this belief in their business will often say this to me: I sent 2 emails to that person and they haven't replied, so I don't think they want it. Now, if they believed in their business, if they believe 100% totally that this business is going to help the person they're introducing it to, following up becomes natural. They're like, oh, they haven't found out about it yet. They haven't got back to me yet. And you will follow up. Tip number 6. Purpose over profit. I always tell people when building their businesses, you often know how you do it and what you're doing, but so often people don't understand the purpose behind the business. And this to me is a key attribute in ensuring that you get sales. If you understand your purpose as a business, as a product, as a service, then you sell in a way that defines you differently in the market. So for me, for example, my purpose in life is to help other people find their purpose in life. Part of what drives me is when I was 15 years old, I left school and left home and I started a business. And I didn't know what I didn't know, and I built this amazing company, but I did it in a very painful way. I had no help. I didn't know what a mentor was. I didn't know what a coach was. I didn't know the difference. I didn't know how to raise money. I didn't know how to employ people. So now I'm driven by this purpose. My purpose is to go back and help that 15-year-old me, and help that 15-year-old me understand, ironically, this concept of install purpose in your business, Simon, and it will get easier. And here's some help along the way. And that's why today I'm doing videos like this, because I want to give back to anyone out there starting a business and needs that help that 15-year-old needed. So that's what things like this video are all about, giving these tips to people that maybe are starting the business, or giving these tips to people that are struggling in their business, as I did in the early years of my career. So that's why purpose is so important. Sales tip number 7. Only sell what you love and what you have. I have a whole story about my past where I sold by mistake something I didn't have. It's a funny story about chickens and a butcher's shop in Cambridge in England. If you want to hear this story, hit me up in the comments and I'll share it with you privately. It's funny, it's stupid, I'm slightly embarrassed, but that's how I learned this point. To only sell what you love and only sell what you have. Number 8. Sell with passion, not process. You can probably tell if you've watched any of my content, I'm a very passionate individual, and I think it's the best way to sell. Passion sells, not process. So many people get caught up in the process of selling, they forget to install that passion. Now, I've said this many times in other videos, but point 9 in these 18 basic rules to sales is sell a brand, not products, not services. You sell a brand. Think about people like Apple. Think how they operate. People buy into the brand. It doesn't really matter what Apple drops to the market, you'll buy it. So learn from these companies and think about what your brand values are, what your mission is, what your vision is. But don't just sell products and services, sell brand and brand values. Point 10, so overlooked. Discovery is key. What does your target client really need to make their lives better? Think about them. Think about what they need. So many people step into the market and start selling what they've got, and they don't ask some simple questions of the clients that they're talking to. There's a great clip from a movie where basically, I don't want to promote the individual, probably not appropriate to, but come on. The whole concept of like sell me a pen, and basically the whole idea is that I give you a pen and I tell you to sell it to me. 9 out of 10 people start explaining to me the merits of that pen and why I should buy a pen and all that. And what you actually need to do is ask a simple question as soon as you receive that pen and start selling it, and that question is this: do you need a pen? Discovery, folks. It's the number 10 rule. I sometimes think I should put it at the beginning. It's so important to remember to ask people what they actually need, understand their requirements. And yes, maybe there are cases where the client doesn't know what they want, and you can spend time trying to educate them about what you have. That's different. That's understanding them and their limiting belief system perhaps, and then going into discovery, what they really need, and then explaining what you have. But spend time understanding what the client really needs. Number 11. Something that's really important to me: be authentic. So many people forget this. They go into sales mode, they're not genuine, they're not real about it, and I think people can smell it. You know, a lot of people hate the word sales, and I think they hate the word sales because they see a salesperson up on stage or in a meeting pitching all these things, and I feel like quite often they're a character, they're a salesperson character, and they're not being themselves. And for me, that's where they go wrong, and that's why no one wants to be in sales, because they see that sleazy salesperson. But I love being in sales. I think sales, I'm very proud to call myself a salesperson. I could call myself a marketing person. I've called myself a CEO at points. I've called myself a chairman, an investor. I've got all these fancy titles, but actually I love sales. I think it's a beautiful thing. It can feed a business, it can keep people employed, it can grow a company, especially one with purpose. You can help grow it. It's wonderful, sales. But so many people lack authenticity, and therefore sales people get a bad rap. So I'm saying, as rule number 11, be authentic. Number 12. Does the client target actually need what you're selling? So many people waste so much time selling, but does your client actually need it? So really focus in on making sure that there is a real need in the market for what you're doing and what you're selling. And don't spend a year, if you're a startup and you're thinking of just going out there into the market and spending a year building a product and then putting it in the market, be very careful. You've got to really check if people need your product. There's loads of wonderful case studies. I've actually done a whole video on this about how to actually validate your product, so you can check out my other YouTube videos around this. But you know, validate whether people actually need what you're selling, and that's an important piece. But otherwise you can get very stressed as a salesperson, or your sales infrastructure can get very stressed because they're busy plugging the market, trying to get them to buy something that the market just does not want. Number 13 on my list is be polite, be persistent. Matching timing with your product is key. So for myself, for example, in my early days in my career in 2000, I started an agency called Fluid, and I'm very proud that I built that company up from scratch and sold it to PwC in 2016. But part of that build, I learned a lot. And one of the things was, when I first started the business, I made a list of 50 clients I wanted to work with, and I approached them all. And I remember in particular one brand, I really wanted to work with them, and it was BMW, and I really wanted to work with them, but it took me nearly 7 years to get them on board as a client. And so sometimes people think sales is, you meet someone, they say yes, great, a sale. But for me, it's about following a process, and it took me 7 years to build a relationship with everybody in that organization, to then understand what they really needed, and then match it with what we were really good at as an organization and win them as a client. So it was a 7-year sales cycle, and I want people to realize this. I want people to understand that it's a process that you have to follow. And be polite. Don't, you know, what I'm trying to say there is don't pester people all the time. Don't be rude. Be consistent. Take your time. But matching your business service with the client's need, timing is so important. So staying in touch with people through things like newsletters. I used to do regular calls. These days, we can't meet for coffee, but maybe a Zoom coffee. Just check in with those people. And just going back over some of my other points, they all interlink in many respects. Selling brand and people understanding what your brand values are. That will keep them, reminding them of you. A bit like you do with Apple. If you think I'm going to buy a computer, the first brand you probably think of is Apple. So as soon as you're at that moment to buy a computer, you think Apple, although there's many other computer brands out there. So it's just making sure that the timing of when your client might buy matches. They've got you in their mind. So to do that, you've got to have subtle, soft ways, polite ways, not spamming people or bombarding people, polite ways to stay in contact with people. So that's rule 13. If you need to go and have a wee at this point, folks, or grab a cup of tea, then I could stop for a second and let you do that. I guess you could just press pause. Point 14 is build relationships. Make leads friends, not just clients. So even for me, I would say that I've interacted with 1,000+ brands in my career. The Fortune 500 companies that I've worked with at some point or another, I would say at least 100 of them the people that worked in those companies have become friends, and I still have regular interaction with those folks. And so it's very important, I'll say it again, build relationships, make leads friends, not just clients. It's crucial, and you'll have a better experience as a salesperson or a sales organization if you actually feel a personal connection to those people. Point 15. Always stick to your core values no matter what. There might be moments where you're tempted to, I guess, trick people to buying your product, and I want to remind people to stick to their core values. And I sometimes look at things like the banking sector, where someone sat in a room and crunched the numbers and figured out how to, make us buy stuff that we didn't really need. And I want you to say no to sales like that. And I think if you do, all the other points I've just mentioned will also click into place, because there'll be authenticity there, there'll be passion there, you'll have a purpose there. So really being, very careful that you stick to your core values. Maybe you need to write down what they are, the red lines you won't cross. So don't sell anything that can't be delivered, for example, is one of mine. I think that's very important. Point 16. Be kind. Now, what I mean by that is share the glory of getting sales. So if you are the salesperson and you're getting sales, don't forget to share that glory with others. And if you're the team leader in the sales team, always give credit for whatever comes in to other people. You'll build a culture that will drive your sales team forward if you do that. So I see way too many people basically praising themselves as the number one salesperson or the key salesperson, and it's a big mistake. And they end up, all on their own. And so I always think about it like a football team. Remember how important the team is behind you in scoring that goal. You're not going to score any goals if you don't have a superstar team behind you. So don't forget the goalie, don't forget the defenders, don't forget the manager, and don't forget the fans. Point 17 in my basic rules to sales. Everyone's a salesperson, even your accountant. In my agency business, Fluid, I had a fantastic CFO. She was so talented. And if I had hired her, and when I, in the interview process, said to her, "You're going to be my number one salesperson," I'm pretty sure she wouldn't have taken the job. But she actually ended up being one of my number one salespeople. Now, how did that happen? How did an accountant become my number one salesperson? It's very simple. All the other points I just explained to you clicked into place, and this is how it played out. So my accountant would see what we were doing for clients and how we were helping them, impacting their businesses, impacting their lives, making their business better and stronger. And she became very proud of what the company was doing. So when she would go for dinner with her other CFO friends, she would sit at dinner, not selling, just explaining what the company was doing and how wonderful a business we were. And those CFOs, also not seen as salespeople, would absorb that insight and story and be happy for her and inquire about what they did, best practice, and all the normal things you would talk about within an industry environment. And then those other CFOs would go back to the companies they worked for, and they would have a conversation with the CEO. And of course, then I would get a phone call from the CEO. "I heard from my CFO that you're doing great things, and I'd like to talk to you about how we can work together." That happened so often. So point 17 in my 18 basic rules to sales is everyone's a salesperson. Don't forget that. Give everybody in your organization a clear understanding of what your purpose is. I always say, give people a purpose, not a job title. The 18th point is kind of more a tip, and I want to get you started on this authentic sales process. So perhaps you can start with being genuine with your pricing, for example. Don't say or stop saying or don't employ the concept of buy one, get one free. It's a trick. We all know no one's getting anything free. I know it's baked into the system, but drop it. And instead just say, it's £100 for my service. That's it. Be honest, authentic. Stop the buy now for just £99, limited time only bullshit.
Bullshit.
We're not idiots. Some people fall for that. I know it works for some people, but if you want to build a long-term business, a deep sales relationship, a long-term brand you love, then drop that. No more buy now for just £99, limited time only. Instead say it's £100. If you buy it now or buy it tomorrow, I don't mind. Take your time and make the right decision, because I care about you as my client or my potential client. I'm not going to treat you like an idiot. I'm going to treat you with respect. So that's my 18 basic rules to sales. Let me know what you think. If you found this useful, please share. I love comments and feedback from people, so if I've missed a trick in this explanation, and I'm always learning about sales even after 30 years of doing it, feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to let me know where I got it wrong. Feel free to share with me your own view on sales. I will reply, I always do. I really see comments and feedback as oxygen. It makes me want to do more of these types of videos. I do all of it for free to give back and help. I don't expect anything in return, but I love feedback. I love to know that this content's being consumed and is being as useful to you folks. Please share this if you think it's useful. Please give me a comment if you have any feedback, and if you want more of these videos, let me know. I did this video because people told me they wanted to know more about the sales process. If you want to know more about brand, or you want to know more about how to build up a company or marketing, hit me up, let me know what you need, and I'll sit in my garden while I'm locked down like the rest of you and try to share my knowledge in these quick videos. Thanks very much for listening, everybody. Have a wonderful week ahead and stay safe. Wash your hands, get some sleep, and think about your purpose in life.